Hello and welcome to the League of Logic podcast where you can learn how to think for yourself. I encourage you to check out our website. It's leagueoflogic.com. Inside the website, you'll find some study tools that will help cover some of the topics we talk about in these conversations. We also have an app that is available on the App Store and in the Google Play Store. Please leave us a rating and review. Whatever platform you're using, it would go a long way in helping get the word out. Also, whether you're listening to the podcast on whatever platform you're doing or watching the video, we have the video on YouTube and Rumble. Please subscribe, hit whatever button you've got to push to keep up with the channel. Thank you for listening to the League of Logic podcast. Now get ready for a much needed conversation about truth. I have a comment from last week.
Oh, man.
So I just wanted to clarify something that I said last week. Last week I said that God will honor the truth. We were talking about lying and how it's never okay last week. And I said that God will honor the truth. And I just wanted to be clear that God does not work for us, and I didn't mean it that way. God will honor you when you tell the truth, but there's not a way that you can do everything right and be a certain amount of righteous that you can get God to do what you want. There's no way to manipulate God. Mm-hmm. I just had that thought, going back and listening to it.
What you meant was you're less likely to become a greasy spot on the asphalt if you tell the truth.
Right.
Yeah. I can get along with that.
I like it. Some good theology.
Yeah. Who wants to be a greasy spot?
Not me.
Yeah.
I can't think of a good situation.
I don't even like to get greasy spots on my jeans whenever I'm eating in the car.
I can't think of a way that benefits me.
I've just gotten used to the greasy spots on my jeans. It's just fashion now, man. If you have messed up jeans, you can sell those on eBay for like top dollar.
That's what I should do. I should take all of my old jeans and auction them off. Mm-hmm. Get more than enough to buy a new pair of normal jeans, no holes.
Yep.
They probably have a website for that now.
You too can look like you bought your clothes in a dumpster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh man, everybody had a great week then.
Aesthetically worn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a great week.
Getting ready for the big man, the white bearded dude.
I've been ready for him. 1 year, I decided to get all my presents on Christmas Eve. That was the worst decision I've made in my life.
That's when all the best deals are, though.
Yeah, but at that time I was naive to the best deals in the world, and so I was like, I guess I'll go shopping at the Pottery on Christmas Eve.
Boy, that's like a Black Friday trip there.
Dude, it was horrible. I had to park over there by, Polo.
Kinley.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Had to park at Crabtree, walk to the Pottery.
Yeah. It was pretty much. But, oh, my goodness. So, the other day, me and Michaela, we went to Fiesta Mexicana. And I love Fiesta Mexicana. But we started talking about something, and moral relativism has reached into already morally relative subjects now. What I mean by this is I have a person that I know of who's become trans. And then, so it was a girl. We'll just say that. She was a girl that became a boy.
No, you can't do that.
But then she came out as gay.
Oh, man. Now we're getting complicated.
So now
fluid stuff, right?
So now she's basically straight.
Pretty much.
But isn't that a huge bummer for actually gay people?
Hey, man, don't discriminate. Tolerance and acceptance.
I know, but just think, like, there's some like gay guy out there. It's like I like boys,
And then all of a sudden it's a girl. Like,
and she's like, but I'm a boy. And he's like,
yeah, no, you're not. Oh, I'm sorry. That shouldn't be that funny to me, but that's hilarious.
It was hilarious to me at Fiesta Mexicana, man. I was like, poor gay people.
If that does not
Like
just,
you've made a stand on being gay, and people finally recognize that, and then all of a sudden more relativism comes in, and they're like, oh, well, now you kind of can't be gay because you have to be inclusive to everybody, even the people that say that they're frogs.
isn't that just, it's almost like the proof that you need. What do you say? The proof is in the pudding. That it is some type of, there's got to be a mental thing going on there, man, for that to even begin to make sense to people.
No, it's too much to keep up with.
Yeah. It's got
I
to
don't
be.
even try to follow that.
I just thought it was funny.
I've been having a hard time, with all these new terminologies and things coming out when they're like, trans this and trans that. I don't know how do you know which one it is? And then some dude I was listening to the other day, he had a brilliant explanation. Whatever they say they trans are, like I'm trans woman, just take the word trans off and say not. So if someone says I'm a trans male, take off that word trans, I am not a male. Means it's really a girl.
Wait, it's really? I'm a trans man. Yeah.
Yeah. See what I mean? You just
Yeah.
take off the word trans, you put not.
You open a can of worms.
Why?
Because now they'll say I'm trans, not male.
I'm not
Female.
trans male.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we have. Now
Wait a
you,
minute.
Now you have to add another letter to the
You just say-
LBGTQYN.
This
Need a
is
diagram.
this is my friend so and so. They're confused.
Right.
You're trying to make everybody else confused. Oh, man. But that made my Friday night. It did. I was eating my fish tacos and laughing the whole time I was sitting there on my date with my wife.
How do you never mind. It's just boy.
Laugh at the situation, not the person.
Yeah. It is sad though. You think about it, to be that
is.
confused,
Mm-hmm.
they say in the Portuguese language. Not really. That's how they say English.
It's so funny.
Oh man. It's tough.
But anyways, my day.
Well, did
my week was
did
pretty
she, he, or they have a job?
good. I don't know.
Because otherwise they couldn't eat.
I don't know.
Good transition.
Hey, you like that segue? Did you miss it?
I caught it. I
Okay,
caught
okay.
it. But
That's the way to throw it out on the table.
You
I
wanted
caught
you wanted some obvious ones.
yeah,
I've
it
been
was good.
practicing that all week.
It was good. I was able to catch it. I approve.
So obviously you have a job, Coach. You were eating. Or did Michaela pay for
I think I paid for it.
it? Okay.
But yeah.
So this comes off straight from our conversation we had about the first Thanksgiving. Turns out the best way for society to work properly is everybody started working and providing. Then they ended up with a surplus. Then they were able to take care of each other because everybody was working and working at their own business.
They're able to do what they wanted to with their own profits.
Mm-hmm.
Capitalism. Period.
That makes a big difference. Are you invested in it?
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to do something that you're not invested in.
It's pretty biblical too.
But does that mean you shouldn't do it?
Shouldn't do what?
What if you don't want to work at all?
I think it's still a free country for the most part. We're like 70% free right now. And if you decide you don't want to go to work, man, don't go to work. Just don't expect to get anything from anybody. That's where the flaw is. If you want to live under a bridge, man, knock yourself out. Eat out of the dumpster.
However, the government's standing there with their hand out.
Oh, that was by design.
Yep. But where's your self-worth if you're not working?
Now, I get it. I enjoy watching the Mountain Men
Mm-hmm.
or Life Below Zero. All these dudes that go up there and they decide they're going to live off grid. And at first glance, people would say, see, those guys aren't working. But that's a lie.
They work from the
Have
time
you
they
seen
get up.
what they have to do to
They work
maintain their life?
Harder than the average person.
Oh, man. Yeah. So it's not so much about even having a job, per se, where you're collecting a paycheck, which is the way that most people in America do it. But if you decide you want to live off grid and not worry with taxes or money, you got to work or you're going to die.
Yeah.
Coffee problems over here. Got these boom mics in the way of
There it is.
getting another cup of coffee.
You do know we have like some older people listening that they all have to get up and go to the bathroom now.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
I tried to do it quietly and discreetly, but it became a fiasco.
So we got any biblical precedents for this don't work, don't eat thing?
We got plenty of them.
Let's hear it.
Proverbs 14:23. In all toil there is profit, but mere talk tends only to poverty. Proverbs 24:33-34. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed man.
Ooh.
What do you do with the people that aren't able to work? Is there such a thing?
Yeah, but that's a different category.
It is.
I don't even think we're even talking about those people.
Well, it's still an application, I believe. What if your grandma is not able to work? Should she not eat?
Well, that goes back to there's biblical or scripture on that too, isn't there? About caring for the elderly.
There's in James.
True religion.
Yeah, true religion true religion undefiled before God is this, to visit the fatherless and the widowed in their need, or is it in their affliction? I think it's in their affliction, actually, and to keep himself unspotted. But you got to take care of them old people.
Who has to take care of them? The government? Is that what the government?
I would say if they're your old people, you got to take care of them. Not according to the government, but like my dad, whenever he gets older, I believe it's personally my responsibility to not put him in a nursing home and forget him, and to take care of him. And
That is phenomenal. That's actually truth. The reason, you know why you believe that?
probably my dad's been indoctrinating me ever since I was young as a
he's been cramming the word of God down your throat. Now you have no choice but to believe it.
No choice.
1 Timothy chapter 5, 1-16 is a whole chapter on that. It's honor the widows and the widows indeed. In verse 8, just to give it to you, says, but if any provide not for his own, and specifically for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel.
That's the one I just pulled up.
It's also one of the 10.
Mm-hmm.
Honor thy father and thy mother.
If you scroll all the way down yonder at number 16 in that same chapter. I don't know what that word means. You ever heard the word scroll?
No.
Me neither. I think I meant scroll, but it said scroll. Anyway,
It happens.
1 Timothy 5:16, if any man or woman that believeth have widows, let them relieve them, and let not the church be charged, that it may be relieve them that are widows indeed. So it's not even really the church's job if you got family.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen anywhere in Scripture where it said that whenever the widow or the child or somebody in need, when they don't have a family, and when the church doesn't step up, that the government should take over?
Mm-mm.
Where did that idea come from?
The government.
You don't think that our government really wants to create a dependency on it, do you?
Yes. And why would they want to do that?
Yeah.
Control.
Yeah. Have to.
I think the scariest words out there are, I'm here from the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah, there was sorry to say a preacher, but I think it was more of a president that said that one time. Was it Ronald Reagan? The most scariest words that you hear out of a politician is, I'm with the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah, I believe that's what it was.
Maybe it was Ronald
That
Reagan.
sounds right, anyhow.
Somebody else, I don't know.
Reagan also said, in talking about welfare, we should measure welfare's success by how many people leave welfare, not by how many are added.
Absolutely. Reaganomics, baby. Reaganomics.
Going back to Scripture, I've got another passage. 2 Thessalonians 3, 6 through 10 talks about this working. Now we command you, brothers, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that you keep away from any brother who is walking in idleness and not in accord with the tradition that you received from us. For you yourselves know how you ought to imitate us, because we were not idle when we were with you, nor did we eat anyone's bread without paying for it, but with toil and labor we worked night and day, that we might not be a burden to any of you. It was not because we did not have that right, but to give you and ourselves an example to imitate. For even when we were with you, we would give you this command: if anyone is not willing to work, let him not eat. For we hear that some among you walk in idleness, not busy at work, but busybodies. Now such persons we command and encourage in the Lord Jesus Christ to do their work quietly and to earn their own living. As for you, brothers, do not grow weary in doing good. If anyone does not obey what we say in this letter, take note of that person and have nothing to do with them, that he may be ashamed. Do not regard him as an enemy, but warn him as a brother.
What's a busybody?
Somebody moving around doing nothing.
A gossip.
One of them old gossiping folks, yeah. You know, I know people. I really do. I hate the fact that we're not allowed to say some people's names, because some people just need calling out, but you can't do it because it's not proper. Anyway, but I know a lady who works very hard to work the welfare system. So hard that she gets welfare from at least 2 states for children. And the way she does that is she has established a permanent resident or an address in both of these states. And so sometimes she's in one state, and other times she's in the other states. And she just flops around back and forth. And the states really can't tell. They don't pay attention. And she gets double welfare for all her childrens. No danger of her going to the abortion clinic, though, so at least the kids are alive, because without an alive kid, you can't draw funds. So there are positives to being on welfare. At least you're not murdering babies.
Yeah.
Well, we just worked that for us. I hadn't even looked on the bright side of it till just now. Thank you guys for helping me see the truth in
You're welcome.
welfare.
We're here every week.
Man, what would I do without the legal logic? Now, I've got some pretty cool clips. I'm going to try to play an audio clip. I'm not going to promise you that it'll work, because it's my first attempt at playing an audio clip, but I'm going to do it. And basically, if you know this guy, his name is Milton Friedman. Well, I've talked about Milton Friedman before. Remember I said I was going to try to learn a little bit about economics since we started doing this whole economic thing?
Mm-hmm.
Milton Friedman's an old dude, man. I don't even know if he's still alive or not, but it's back in the 80s again, and he talks about the welfare state and self-interest. So it's about 3 minutes, but I'm just going to play it. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it, and we'll see what Milton Friedman has to say. You ready?
I'm ready.
The thing about the welfare state is that when you start on this route, everything goes fine. To begin with, you are imposing taxes on 90% of the people, small taxes, and are able to give considerable benefits to 10% of the people. But the problem is that as time goes on, more and more people come in and either express a desire or are given a chance at a part of the proceeds. So you gradually get to the position where 50% of the people are providing benefits to other 50% of the people, and then you ultimately get to the position where 100% of the people are paying taxes in order to provide benefits to 100% of the people. And you are then in that situation, which Frederick Bastiat described so well 150 years ago, when he said that government is that fiction whereby everybody believes he can live at the expense of everybody else.
Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Everybody believes they can live at the expense of everybody else.
Can you look out around you and say that's wrong?
Well, absolutely. For one, mathematically, it is impossible.
No, I mean like he's wrong. Can you look around you and say that he's wrong?
Oh, can I say that Milton Friedman is wrong?
Yeah.
No, you cannot.
Yeah.
Mathematically, this is the part of it. So he's an economist, which they use a lot of math. Mathematically, it is an impossibility for 100% of the people to not work but still pay taxes to support 100% of the people. You can't do that. Where does the money come from?
We're heading that way, though.
See, this is a statement that I'm going to make that I need everybody to understand. You got something? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you just keep charging it to the company store. And then
That's pretty much why our national debt, the company store, our debt's running like crazy. That debt clock is stupid. Have you ever watched the debt clock roll?
Mm-mm.
Man, you need to just go United States national debt and just like, I mean, it is constantly, it is going nuts because it's a loan and there's interest being charged. So constantly it's going, and this is at some almost $30 trillion right now. Do you realize that if every rich person, every person that considered themselves to be, let's just say billionaire, right? If you took away every billionaire's money, all of them, put it all together, you'd have about $3 trillion, maybe $4 trillion. The debt is almost 30. You don't even come close to paying the debt. It's so dumb. But here's a statement. You ready? This is going to blow people's mind. The government of the United States does not make money.
Oh, yeah.
It is not a business. They are not selling a product. They don't make anything. Everything that the United States government has, they take away from the citizens in the form of a tax. Okay? And so you can't say for the government, well, the government has all these funds that they could use to pay for the government doesn't have anything. Zilch. Zero.
you, as a working, tax-paying citizen, are basically an investor in the company of the USA. You invest, which also means you have a say-so, and then you have a right to vote to make changes in the direction that that company goes.
You do your own payroll, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Something that I guess aggravates me every week when I do payroll. So I've watched over the years. And if you're just receiving a paycheck, I mean, everybody looks at their paycheck and they say, wow, the taxes is eating me up. One of the things that really gets to me, Social Security is is a socialist, government-inflicted retirement plan.
Yep.
Individual retirement plan. And everybody, you guys have grown up here and it's broke, we're not going to have any money.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that really gets me, I'm just using some numbers here that is not accurate, but let's say this coming week payroll will be about $17,000 in total. And you look at how much money, when you get your pay stub, how much money's taken out in federal taxes and state taxes. But when I do payroll taxes, out of that $17,000 in federal taxes that was taken out of my employee's paycheck might be $1,400, right? And I pay that in. Social Security, when you look at your paycheck, what was taken out, I have to match whatever my employees pay. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Medicaid.
Yep.
So those are the three numbers when I file taxes or I pay taxes in the week. You got federal, Social Security, than Medicaid.
Don't forget unemployment insurance.
Well, let's not even talk about that one.
I'm just saying, those things get on my nerves.
But the federal, let's say it's $1,500, okay, that's come directly out of your paychecks. Medicare might be $300 coming out of everybody's paychecks. Well, I'll match $300, so it's $600. You look at those two numbers right there. Social Security, about $2,200.
Yeah.
Those are not retirement plans. That's all this socialist programs that you're paying out to feed everybody else that's not working. That's other people's paychecks that the governments are giving out. It has now exceeded federal income taxes. It exceeds everything.
And they're using it for other things. That we're virtually bankrupt in all sense of the terms. The United States is a bankrupt country. Mm-hmm. We don't have the potential to pay back the debt right now. There's no way. We don't even. It's not even close. And the way there are obvious signs for people that are willing to take the time to look at it to show it. One of the things that is the most bankrupt thing in the world is Obamacare. Mm-hmm. That is the dumbest thing that we have ever done as a country. One of the dumbest things was to institute Obamacare. It loses money. It can't support itself. There's not enough taxes to be able to pay to be able to cover the medical expenses that come through Obamacare. And so I got twofold articles on that too. I'm going to try to play another video clip. So Obamacare was in the tank so bad. Everybody knew it was going to be in the tank from the beginning. But they ran it as a social program, and that way it made sense. People, you can't afford insurance. We're going to give you free insurance. We're going to help you with all your stuff. And so everybody's like, oh, man, we love the Democrats. Vote for the Democrats. So when I get sick, they're not going to make me pay my bill, right? It is a total dependency thing, so they get votes. It was in the tank, Obamacare. It's in the tank right now. It is. It stinks. It is the worst form of the insurance you could possibly get, all right? So because it was in the tank and they couldn't afford it, also what Obama did was he said, well, I'm going to federalize the student loans. And they made up numbers like student loans were making money. They didn't even consider the amount of money they lose when people default on paying the loan. They just took that figure completely out. And they inflated this is how much we could make if the federal government took over student loan debt and student loans. So that amount of money could then be shoved over there into Obamacare to sort of prop it up. The truth of the matter is they're both losing money. All right. So there was something that happened this week that made me dig into this, and this is where I found it. There was what's the lady's name? Rashid something or other, the terrorist that's a senator. She's part of the squad.
Jahib or whatever.
I don't remember what her name is. It's not the one that wears the rag on her head all the time.
The one with the glasses.
It's the one with the glasses. Mm-hmm. She looks like a camel.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so she is sitting up there in Washington, D.C., petitioning for student loan forgiveness. Okay? So I'm going to play the clip. I want you to pay attention to what she says, and then we're going to talk about it. I'm going to read an article that shows how dumb this really is. Okay?
I got to throw this in.
All right, go for it.
When the administration switched over, Biden took office, they put Maxine Waters in charge of that. Did you see that hearing?
Yeah.
She called everybody in. Why have you done this? Why have you done that? Why is this? We didn't. Obama took it all over. It's on you.
It's on you. That's right. Yeah. Anyone with any common sense can see it. And so whenever you get put in that position, everything that they had said that you had run on to get your votes, it all seemed like a great idea because you were getting votes. But when you look at it on paper, you were like, what is going on here? And you think that somebody dumb did it, but you get and realize, oh, my people did that. Anyway, check this out. This isn't very long, but I just want you to hear this too. You ready?
Worked full time Monday through Friday and took weekend classes to get my law degree, and still close to $200,000 in debt. And I still owe about $70,000. And most of it was interest. Most of it was our own government making money and profit off of me. And guess what? I didn't go to the for-profit entities.
Okay. First of all, did you catch that? Here's a lady who is a member of Congress. Her salary base is $174,000. She's making probably $200,000 at least.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't even count all the stuff that comes in on the side. She is complaining about having $200,000 in student loan debt that she's struggling to pay for. But she's gotten it down to 70. So she's making progress. All right. That gets on my nerves. You're making $200,000 a year and you're worried about paying back a loan that you took out so that you could go to school?
Mm-hmm.
That don't even make good sense to people who have a brain. All right. Now, the other thing that she said that was funny was, I didn't go to the for-profit organizations to be able to get this loan. She went to the government. All right, people. I know this is tough. Now, I'm really slow. Before Obama stepped in and messed all this up, there was a free market when it came to student loan debt. You could go basically to banks or investors and things.
And they could compete.
They could compete to keep the prices down low because they wanted you to borrow money from them so that they could charge interest and make a little money. There was a free market for that. And Obama saw it, and he said, man, there's where we can pick up some money to help pay for my failure of a health care plan. Okay? What? I have no doubt in my mind Obama really thought that way.
Obviously he did.
You can't see it and not know that it is a complete and utter failure. I would contend anyone, by the way, is this thing on? Anybody out there that can prove to me that Obamacare works, I'll give you a $100 gas card right now. I ain't worried about losing $100. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I ain't worried. All right. So Obama knew that it was a junky health care plan, and he was going to steal from the student loan debt. All right, so here's an article. It's hold on, let's see if I can get it. To help pay for Obamacare, Democrats simultaneously federalized the student loan market and projected fictitious savings, all while adding more than $1.2 trillion to the federal balance sheet. The amount keeps increasing, just like the debt clock. Liberals then cited the government savings, in quotation marks, to peddle the fallacy that the feds make money off student loans, a pretext that they then used to sweeten the debt forgiveness plan that have been kept default rates artificially low. Artificially. They forgive the debt, so you don't get your money back. You're losing it. But when they forgive the debt, that what it does is it keeps the rates of default low. So no, they didn't default on their loan. We just told them they didn't have to pay it. So there's not a default rate. Never mind, we don't get that money. All right. I know this is hard.
No.
Are you tracking? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm going to give Andrew $100. I'm going to charge Andrew $50 for him to use my $100. Now Andrew owes me $150. Andrew says, man, I don't have $150. I can't pay you. I tell you what, don't even worry about it. There's no default. I just lost $100.
Did she lose $150?
Well, no, the 50 was going to be my profit.
Oh.
I lost the potential to make money, obviously, which is what the student loan takeover was about, was to make money to pay for the stupid Obamacare that didn't work.
So what happens in the end?
It's all debt.
It's all debt. And who's going to pay for it?
Taxpayers. Now,
Social Security program. Another
right,
one.
that's right. That's what it is. Exactly what it is. Yeah, the first paragraph. Democrats devised the government takeover of student loans as an entitlement that might never be repaid, though they sold it as a money saver. It's a Wall Street Journal post. I'm going to post that article. Man, please just read it. Please. This happened back. This article was written in 2016. They knew it then. When Obama took it over in 2016, the Wall Street Journal wrote the article. It's not news.
Didn't she have a sign up during that
yeah,
deal?
she had a sign up.
What is the debt?
Hold on,
The total debt.
Hold on just a second. So the national student loan debt was $1,730 billion.
So if they forgive all that,
The total number of Americans with some form of student loan debt, 47,900,000. Now, okay, Here's another concept that's going to be tough for you guys to grasp, so I'm going to say it very slow. I'm not worried about our listeners because they're smart people, but, we got David and Andrew over here. All right, ready
That's
for
true.
this? If I go to a community college to learn how to be an HVAC guy, I might end up with $30,000 or $40,000 worth of student loan debt. But if I go to Harvard to learn to be a lawyer, I may have $500,000 worth of student loan debt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I get out, I can make a great living as an HVAC guy, and I'm probably going to pay back my $40,000 no problem. But just think about the guy that becomes a lawyer. He's making a lot of money, and he wants, now that he's rich, for the poor guy like me to go out there and pay off his student loan debt with my taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Who does debt forgiveness of these student loan debts, who does it benefit the most, the poor or the rich?
The rich.
Sounds like communism.
So under this fallacy, this absolute lie that we're going to forgive student loan debt to help the poor guys out because they need it, in actuality, what is happening is they are helping the rich people who decided to go eyeball deep in debt to become a lawyer or a doctor
In a flooded market of lawyers.
or a politician.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? It's a lie.
Yep. And I think part of the problem here is we have a culture that does not want to take responsibility. Wants to push responsibility of your actions onto somebody else because you want to have your truth. You want to do things the way you want to. You don't want to answer to anybody. You don't want to see the consequences of your own actions. That's why we have debt problems. That's why we have abortion. That's why we have the problems we're seeing around us. It's because people don't want to take responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
That, and a lot of people are naive because they say, well, I don't have student debt, so it doesn't concern me. But they don't see that line item, Social Security, has now exceeded federal tax.
It's out of control.
It's out of control and growing.
What you got next?
There's like one thing that always makes me laugh during the elections is everybody says, we're going to give you this free and this free. And I just wish some people would grasp there's nothing on this earth that was free. Absolutely nothing. And some people may say, oh, salvation was free.
Christ paid the debt.
Christ paid the debt.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if you have a plumber that comes over and gives you a free estimate, that wasn't free. You had to pay a guy to go out there to look at the job, use gas to get out there. Nothing is free. And one other thing that I'll say about colleges is, and this isn't so much a part of the debt thing, but just as far as it is good sense. But I personally am not a fan of colleges because I feel like they rob your future self, which is bad. Like I don't even know how to explain it. Okay, so during my free time, I listen to Jordan Peterson. I love Jordan Peterson. And he said that colleges rob your future self, and that's why I just said it here. But when you think about it, like, and I didn't just say it just to say it.
we realize you are analyzing this and thinking about it logically from a critical mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Continue.
Anyways, like just even the whole process of college, I don't even really understand. Like, why would you pay for something that you might not get? You know, if I went to like McDonald's and I was like, I'll take a number 4, and they said, okay, that'll be $7. And I pull up there and I pay them $7, I expect to get my number 4 at the next window. But I feel like if you apply that to college terms, you say, I'll take a college degree, and they say, okay, you pay us, I don't know, $200,000. And then at the next window, they say, oh, you didn't pass all the classes. Sorry, you need to give us more money. Like that's just like, that blows my mind, first off.
So you do have to do the work in college, and I'm okay with a college not passing somebody if they don't make the grades. I'm fine with that. Because just think about it. If you have, for me, I got a degree in mechanical engineering.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use it. You know, I didn't go to, I did not keep my engineering license.
Mm-hmm.
And so in one hand, you could say, well, he paid a lot of money to get an engineering degree that he does not use, which would be true. I did pay a lot of money to get an engineering degree.
That's the direction I thought you were going with this.
Yeah. However, what I did learn some things in college. And one of the biggest things that I learned in college was how to use your resources. They taught you how to use your resources. There's a ton of information out there that you can actually use to figure out whatever problem it is that you're trying to solve. And so the problem with colleges is they promote things like communications or, you know, just a political science or something dumb, right? And people go spend a tremendous amount of money and they get a worthless degree, and then they're out there saying, man, I can't get a job. Well, you studied basket weaving and no one uses baskets anymore. We all have Tupperware, right? So that's dumb. And colleges aren't doing anything. That is their all inclusive. We have to make sure we have something for everybody, and that's a money grab, I guess, for the colleges to keep funding things they've got going on. But I do appreciate doctors going to school to learn how to be doctors.
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate engineers going to college to learn how to be engineers. So there is a value in college. The problem is that people are going to college for the wrong reasons. They're going because they just want to go to college and join a fraternity or be a prostitute or anything. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's a waste of money. Then they end up in a bunch of debt. They get a terrible job because they can't use their degree, and then they want the government to pay it off. That's nonsense. You borrowed money, you pay it back.
Yeah.
But yeah,
maybe I'm wrong.
No. I don't think you're wrong. I think you made a valid point. If you're going to college to learn how to be an ant counter, you're probably not going to be able to pay off your loan debt. That's worthless. You know, well, I got a degree in ant counting. Now I can't use it. That'd be like ordering a number 4 and getting a number 2.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do with this? Nobody knows, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, junk. Yeah. You know, the other thing that was pretty cool about all that, Dave was talking about the taxes. You know me, man. I don't like the government and I don't like taxes. There's 2 things you can always count on Robin. He does not like government. He does not like taxes. And we had, you got old Biden, you know, Joe Sama Biden. Sorry. Anyway, he has this whole Build Back Worse plan coming.
Build Back Worse.
And he's got to pay for it, right? It's going to cost trillions. 2.4 trillion was one estimate. You might as well double it. It's going to be more than that. And so how do you pay for it, right? Because the government, you know, obviously has to make money somehow. Whatever, dude. And so Joe Sama Biden decided the best way to pay for my Build Back Worse plan is to raise taxes. Now, a normal human being would say, please don't raise my taxes. But not liberals. They say, oh, well, that's okay. And Joe Biden says, don't worry. It's just to offset the tax cuts that Trump put in while he was in office. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, this is the liberals now. Those tax cuts heavily benefited large corporations and the rich, and they didn't help out the little people. So don't worry, if you make less than $400,000 in a year, you'll never feel this tax increase. It is always going to be a tax on the wealthy because the wealthy need to pay their fair share to support all the people that don't work, like the politicians. As far as I'm concerned, most of these politicians are on welfare. I know that was a side note. I should have just said side note, but I did. I said it after. Has nothing to do with what I'm about to tell you.
Side note.
Yeah, side note. I get sidetracked with side notes.
So many rabbit trails.
So many. All right, so he's going to increase taxes only on the wealthy because Trump's tax cuts help the wealthy, not the little people. So if you're a little people, every one of us in this room right here is a little people. If you're not taking home with you in a paycheck $500,000 or more, you're a little people. I'm like way little people. You know what I mean? All right. So here we go. The IRS just released data from the amount of taxes that were collected in 2018, the year following the Trump tax cuts. This is the IRS own data. They you can't make it up. It's there. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're ready. This is here we go again. If this thing is on, I just want you to show this article to all your liberal friends that believe wholeheartedly that the rich benefited from tax cuts, because it's a lie. And it's an absolute lie to justify them raising taxes on everybody. So here it is. A careful analysis of detailed tax data from 2017 and 2018, the first year after the Trump tax cuts went into effect, and most recent year for which the detailed IRS income data are available, reveals that over just 1 year, household with an adjustable gross income, this is the income, from $15,000 a year to $50,000 a year, which is a lot of people. They saw a total tax bill benefit between 16 and 26%. They saw a tax cut, amount of taxes taken out of the check. Some almost 26%. They got a relief, with most filers enjoying at least 18%. 18% tax cut. That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Similarly, those filing that earn between $50,000 and $100,000 a year, which that would be considered your middle class people, right? Your upper type middle class. They one of the largest groups of taxpayers, by the way, largest groups. They experience between 15 and 7% tax cut on average. That's a huge cut. You say, well, man, the wealthy people must have really got a deal then if the middle class got that much, and this was all about helping the wealthy.
Hold on, I don't see it so far. So like the lower class, was getting like 15 to
26%.
26, and then the middle class got like 7 to 15.
15 to 17.
15 to either way, that's still a step down. So the richer class is going to be even way lower.
It's getting less tax benefit.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite of what the government has been telling you, the liberals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Would you just wait?
Okay.
These are the lower to upper middle class people, the $15,000 to $100,000 a year earners.
Have you got the collection amounts in there? You getting to that?
Oh, we'll get to that. All right. So here you go. You got $15,000 a year up to $100,000 a year. Let's just do it an average and say that they averaged out at about 18% tax cut. They got a break. Everybody's like, woo, you should be happy about that.
Yeah.
Trump tax cuts work for the little people. And you say, well, the liberals tell me that it's helping out the corporations more. So if it's helping the corporations more, what percentage then would be more than 18%? 19 and on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anything more than that. Here you go. Higher income households also experienced sizable tax cuts, but not nearly as large as the tax reductions provided by the law to the working and the middle class families. Those who earn $500,000 to $1 million a year, I don't fall into that category. These are the 1%ers, by the way, the 1%ers. They had their tax cut by less than 9%. About half.
Well, let's stop right there, though. Those 1%ers, how much of the overall taxes do they pay?
Oh, so that actually increased too. I got that percentage on here too. All right, let's go one more. Those who earn $5 million to $10 million, they only received a 3.4 tax cut. Everybody benefited, but the middle class tremendously more than the wealthy. Okay? So they'll say, well, the wealthy got a benefit. Well, of course they did. But in turn, what happened is, which you'll see later, the middle class are way better off.
So what's 1% of 1 million?
100, yeah. You might like 100,000. No, that's 10%. 10,000.
10,000. Yeah, 1% of 1 million, 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
What's 1% of 10,000?
$100.
100. 10,000 is significantly higher than $100.
I know where you're going now.
You can look at that and say, oh, well, they got a bigger difference.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're talking percentages here.
Exactly.
That's because the amount that they have ended up with this much money, but
actually what you got to do is you got to say if you got $1 million, you got 1%, which is $10,000.
yeah, so it's even.
But if you only got 100,000, you got 10%,
Mm-hmm.
which is $10,000. So if I'm poor, what helps me more, 1,000 or 10,000? A lot. If you're rich, does $1,000 matter?
That's the point I was trying
Mm-hmm.
to get to. When you're rich, those numbers, you're a lot less affected by those numbers.
Exactly. All right. So the data also shows that whether the filer ended up providing a slightly higher portions, that wealthier filers ended up providing a slightly higher portion of the total personal income tax. In 2017, the 1%ers, the ones that make $500,000 or more, they provided 38.9% of the total tax revenue generated by the taxes in the United States. 1% of the people pay 38.9% of the taxes. Who's paying the most tax, the wealthy or the poor? The wealthy. 1% of the people pay 38.9% of tax.
So the wealthy, which have a smaller percentage of a tax, or a tax cut, are still paying as 1% the majority of the actual tax money.
Absolutely.
That it goes in.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're saying?
That's absolutely what I'm
the
saying.
The smallest part of the population is paying the largest amount of tax.
Now, with the tax cuts that Trump imposed, that number went from 38.9% to 41.5%. They paid more with a tax cut than they had before.
And how does that happen? Reagan's trickled down economics.
Yeah, so trickle down is a term. I get a little nervous about it because there's really no such thing as trickle down economics. They use it as a slang basically. But what it means is if an employer has more money to invest in their business, they can make more money, therefore hire more people, pay more individual income, and everybody makes it out on it. You see what I mean?
That little bit of tax break makes that 1% want to invest more money back into the United States, create more jobs.
Now,
So
that's how you get a higher revenue.
So it turns out Trump did have the best interests of the people in mind.
oh yeah, can you believe it?
Yes.
Can you believe that? Now, the last sentence of this article that I read, perhaps the important thing about this, the tax cut actually caused a substantial upward economic mobility. What that means is if you were in the $15,000 to $50,000 place, you bumped a tax bracket. You went up because you started making more money. Okay? So despite an increase in the total number of tax returns in 2018 compared to 2017, because we had more people working, because employers had more people to pay people. Did you catch that? More tax returns because employers had more money. They could hire more people. We had more tax returns filed.
And wages go up.
Wages go up. The number of people filing who claimed from $1 to $25,000 a year fell by 2 million. Okay, 2 million people no longer in that bracket. But every other income bracket above $25,000 a year increased. So, for instance, the number that were filed between $100,000 and $200,000 a year increased by more than 1 million people.
So are you saying that tax cuts decreased the amount of tax per person, but that made everybody be able to make more money, which upped them in the brackets? They made more money. Everybody benefited, which also brought in more tax money.
Absolutely.
They had record amounts of income.
Record.
IRS did.
Records.
That's how you pay off. That's how you pay off national debt.
That's how you, now, the other thing that you've got to accommodate, that you have to get rid of, is the spending part of that money.
Right.
We know how to make the money come in. You leave the people alone. You quit just trying to steal it all.
Capitalism.
Yeah, you leave them alone. You let them go to work and let them do what they're supposed to. Because if they don't work, they ought not eat. So there you go. What do I do with the money that I get? Well, don't give it away to these losers that are sitting around on their backside manipulating states, trying to get welfare from more than one place.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's the spending that we have the problem with.
And if you raise minimum wage and try to pay everybody $15 an hour, there goes the jobs.
If they were able, and they just refuse to because they're so accustomed to taking all this money. But if the politicians would lay out and say, all right, these programs are failing, and just get rid of them. Obamacare, put it back into the free market. Allow businesses to offer health insurance to people and increase that competition so that the rates would have to go down. They'd be more affordable rates. The government wouldn't be losing money because they're out of it. I can't think of one single thing that the government has ever gotten involved in that they haven't jacked up and made it all, just ruined it. They're dumb. You can't. Socialism never works. And every program they try to institute is some form of socialism. Don't worry, we'll take care of it. I've got one more thing that I'll say about that from the Freeman guy. How much time we got? I need to pay attention. We're getting close to that hour mark. Milton Friedman also talks about there are 4 ways to spend money. I don't have this video. I'll just explain it to you because it's faster. 4 ways to spend money. All right, ready? First way. I can spend my own money on me. Okay? Follow me?
Mm-hmm.
When I spend my money on me, I pay attention to cost and value. I don't want to spend any more than I have to. I want to make sure what I get is worth it. I want the best deal I can get. That is the best way to spend money because I'm paying the most attention. I spend my money on me. I can spend my money on someone else and buy a gift. Bought you guys some beanies. I pay attention because I don't want to pay too much, right? I'm not as concerned about what you benefit from it or how it would, the value that it is to you. You see what I mean? So it loses a little bit there. I'm obviously going to pay more attention to gifts I buy for myself than I am other people. That's because we are selfish by nature. If you say you don't do that, then you're a liar. I mean, just all right. Spend my money on me. Spend my money on somebody else. The third way is I could spend someone else's money on me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that I have an expense account would work. David gives you a card. Tells you go to lunch every day. Well, when you go to lunch, you have an amount of money that you get to spend. You're thinking more of what can I get for me out of this amount of money. You don't care about the amount of money. You're going to spend it all, right? So you're not so much focused on the amount of money that you spend, but you are focused on value a little bit because it benefits you. So you're running a tit for tat for if I spend my money on somebody else or if I spend somebody else's money on me. You don't care how much it costs, David, as long as you get something good, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's something good for you as long as I don't spend too much money. You know, those are kind of equally and critical. The last way is I can spend someone else's money on someone else. Each time I still have this self-interest thing going on, I'm not going to spend a tremendous amount of time worrying about getting the best price because it's not my money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to spend a tremendous amount of time worrying about the value that I get out of this money because it's not my money and it's not coming to me. That is government spending. It is not their money. It is not spent on them. And that is why everything that the government does when they spend money is junk. 4 ways to spend money. If they would get out of the way, allow people to spend their own money on themselves, we'd be way better off.
I used to be a little more naive and think that, big institutions, government, schools or whatever, you name it, some sort of institution that was well established and appeared to be professional could be right. It was, whatever they were doing, they did it right. They did a good job. Mm-hmm. However, the truth of the matter is that every corporation, every company, every entity, government, everything that's being run is being run by people. Mm-hmm. People are naturally selfish, greedy, and uncaring.
Absolutely.
That is the nature of the natural person. You might argue that people are generally good. Well, what about cannibals on the other side of the world?
Right, yeah.
That argument can be, torn down as well, and we've done that with moral relativism. That's what we're talking about here is moral relativism. People are generally bad.
Put a bunch of 3-year-olds in a room and give them one toy and see what happens.
Right. The only one that was truly good was Jesus Christ. He's the only one that ever lived a perfect life on earth. And he came and lived that perfect life. And he gave his life for us so that we could have life eternal and be able to go to heaven. He paid our debt that we racked up. We are sinful. We owed our lives a debt that we could not pay. Jesus paid it for us. Jesus took our responsibility. Now, the best we can do is give our lives back to him, our lives lived.
I heard a long time ago, and I still believe it, but socialism works only in a utopia. And a utopia hinges on whether people are naturally good or naturally evil. And like we live in a dystopia. You know, people are greedy, they're wanting power, money, all those things. And so socialism will never work because we live in a dystopia and there's no way to change the natural state of man until Jesus comes back. There was another thing I heard this week, and hopefully this doesn't fall flat like the Jordan Peterson thing did.
It didn't fall flat, man.
It fell flat. You don't have to pick me up. But there was this guy, he was talking, and he said, imagine you go out and you hire an accountant, and this accountant starts taking your money, and he keeps going in the hole. Like he keeps losing your money. You keep going in debt. It just keeps getting worse. You're not getting a whole lot of benefits out of your investments. He said, you're going to fire that accountant.
Yeah.
He said, well, that's what the government does. He said, the government takes your money and they keep going in debt. Mm-hmm. They keep failing. And I don't know if this guy was petitioning for war or what, but he was like, we need to do something because we're losing a lot of money.
Well, that's where currently the voting system comes into play. Mm-hmm. We can fire the government by voting in the people that actually promote doing what's right.
That don't work.
You really believe that?
The last election showed that.
Yeah.
Is rigged. No, we're gonna start.
Well, do we want war to happen? I mean, are we wanting to be killing our neighbors?
I don't want to go to war. That would be terrible.
We got to try to avoid war.
Yep.
By trying to do the best we can at making the system right again.
There are. I'll put a link to a website. Come the first of the year, we're going to start talking about it too because we'll be in an election year. 2022 election year, and there is a website. It's called Liberty Score, and it will rate everyone running, Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, all alike, based on a scale, based on their conservative values, just to help people to be able to decide. And so there are a lot of Republicans that are actually active right now whose score is very low, which indicates that they're rhinos. And so there is a process that we need to follow. I don't want to go to war. I think that'd be terrible. But not to say that I wouldn't if it started. I would absolutely fight if it did, but I'm not going to shoot first. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I will not comply to junk that doesn't matter.
Well, wouldn't that be firing the first shot?
By not complying?
Not in like a literal war.
The attempt to force compliance is the first shot.
Right. That is the first step against freedom, is to force compliance. All I'm doing is exercising the right for freedom.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Gotcha. What do we do in the meantime about all this type welfare stuff? Like, you're going to support your family for Christmas, aren't you?
Yeah.
Is that the same as welfare?
I don't know. I'm not 100%.
No.
Well, I'm just saying this. I'm not 100%. I just feel like God said, Andrew, you need to do this. And I said, yes, sir.
There is the
I
difference.
haven't thought about it fully, but I
That's
think
a huge difference, though, in you following a leading of God and doing it because you want to, and someone taking your money and forcing it to go somewhere you don't.
Yeah.
There's a big difference.
Yeah.
I think that's because you realize, as we talked about before, you realize that everybody has a starting point, whether they realize it or not. And you've chose to base your starting point on a reliable collection of historical documents that we have in the Word of God.
Mm-hmm.
The family that you decide to pick, would you pick a family that was taking advantage of the system and getting welfare for a whole bunch of children and not working because they were lazy?
Well, if I was picking it, no, I wouldn't do that.
No. Yeah, okay. See, there's a huge difference in what you're doing, which I think is awesome.
Yep.
So, look, get off your backside, go get a job. There's lots of them. Go to work. And who cares if you have to start at a job that's only $10 an hour? You can't afford to get the newest iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
Go to work, man. Go to work. Or get skinny. Maybe I should stop working.
Yeah.
What a weight loss program.
Yeah. Don't work, don't eat.
Thank you for listening to the League of Logic podcast. If you haven't already, please leave us a rating and review. It'd help us out a lot in what we're doing. Also, we have a store you can access through our website. We've got a whole bunch of new merch just in time for Christmas. Also, we are doing the $100 gas card giveaway this month. If you want to sign up for that, put your name in, subscribe to a channel.
We forgot to announce a winner.
We did forget to announce the winner. Let's
Pause everything.
The winner for this week is someone who has a job.
Ooh.
We don't give away gas cards to people who don't have jobs.
There you go.
Hold on, I got to get the randomizer thing out again.
In the meantime.
How do you do that? Man, that's terrible. Totally forgot.
I remembered like halfway through, but then I was like, we're talking about something.
while he's looking up the person for this week, the way you enter to win this is to follow or subscribe to our podcast in any of the platforms we are on. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Rumble. Give us a 5-star review. If you're on a podcast, it's got to be a review in order to leave a comment. And in the videos, you can send us the comment, enter to win, and you can sign up for that gas card, $100 gas card giveaway.
This week's winner of the $100 gas card is Brian Evans. Yeah. Woohoo! I don't know who Brian Evans is, but thank you, Brian. All right, we're going to try to close the show one more time. Should we play the whole thing, or should we just shut it off?
Yeah, restart it.
Here we go. Ready? Because everybody likes to jam.
Yeah.
Do I need to repeat my whole spiel?
Yes.
Just make something up along the way.
Thanks for listening to the League of Logic podcast. If anything said has made you think or made you mad, please check it out for yourself. We want you to look for and know the truth. Please follow, like, subscribe, whatever button you got to push to keep up with the channel. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks again for listening.
Right on. Don't forget, too, on our website, we do have a contact us page. If you have topics that you want us to discuss, if you have something that you've heard that was wrong and you want to, tell us we're wrong, we'd appreciate it, man. And I'm challenging you to prove to me that Obamacare was okay. I'll give you $100 gas card if you can. All right, I'm out. Y'all out?
I'm out.